after the program tonight, we need to kind of stay on the line for a little bit and
That's
just
fine.
Sounds good.
I will not hit the button.
you don't
Yeah, don't do that.
don't be in such a hurry to leave us,
I
Queen
don't
Victoria.
know. I probably had to go to the bathroom or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I will not hit the button.
I will be on that password search after that.
All right, you're gonna find it. You're gonna
Right?
find it.
I gotta get that together. I'm excited. We're gonna talk just a little bit about the weekend coming up, and
Yes.
who's gonna go first in the weekend review? We didn't put that down.
Oh,
Who's going
Right.
first?
Yeah,
Thought
sure
about it.
is.
Victoria, you want to go?
Okay. All righty. I can go first, I guess. Yes.
Okay.
I don't have much to say, but it's okay.
Ruth, you want to do the middle, and I'll do the end.
Trying to figure out-
Sure. That'll give me the opportunity to come up with something.
You
You know
heard
how it is. Somebody asks you, and you know until someone asks you. So if you hadn't asked me, I would have had like 20 things to tell you about.
Well, you always pull something. You always got something going on. So we're glad about that.
Yep.
And I think our guest is in the wings, and it's very different. Her work is very different from what we've had. So I'm excited to talk to her and have her share with us what
Mhm.
she's got going on.
Yep.
And I think that's it. I think that's it. That's it.
Okay, well, I'm glad it is, folks. It is time to roll the open.
All right, roll on.
Okay.
Have a good
Thank
time.
you, Alan.
You bet.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Authors Up, a forum for authors by authors. And we are so happy to have our listeners coming in this evening. And I want to say hello to my co-host. Hello, Victoria. Good
Hello, darlings. Hello to everyone out there.
evening. And good evening to you, Miss Ruth. How are you this evening?
I am well. How are you doing?
I am doing well as well.
Awesome.
Awesome. Good.
It was a beautiful day today. It was just a
Mhm.
pretty day. I don't know where everybody is located, but it was an absolutely gorgeous day here in North Carolina, and the sun was shining and the air was crisp. And
All day.
So it was crisp this morning. Yeah.
You saw Ruth.
You said it right. North Carolina.
You see Ruth with her winter coat this morning.
I had my winter coat. I had tights on.
She
I had
was
my
not
boots.
playing.
I was cold.
oh,
It was crisp.
sorry.
No, but then we get to the afternoon and I'm peeling everything off like it's
Exactly.
hot out here.
And where did you say you were? We
North
are
Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I know. I
4
know.
seasons in a week.
Exactly.
Look, 3 seasons in a day. So
Hey.
But we thank God. We thank God for
Yes,
a day
beautiful day.
and we are just grateful. I know that. I'm just grateful to be able to enjoy another day and enjoy another edition of Authors Up. Nakayeta, good evening to you. Hello. Glad to have you in the house this evening. And Miss Linda has joined us as well. Hello there, Linda. Glad to have you in the house this evening. And I know we've got some other people coming in. And Alan, if we have any people from out of the country, any of our other
Yes.
listeners that you want to identify and let us know who's out there, that would be a great thing to do as well. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started. You know, we always get started with our weekend review. And we're going to let you go first, Queen Victoria. Spain is in the house.
Woo, Spain. Greetings, Spain. Welcome, welcome,
Yes.
welcome.
Welcome to Authors Up. Glad to have you this evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am happy to report that it was a regular week. Nothing. I can't think of anything that was spectacular, other than the fact that I did go walking a few days this week, trying to get these knees, to kind of together. Um, but what was remarkable about this week was there have been a couple of deaths in my family, and then someone else I grew up with, and I was feeling a little ugh. And I reached out to some people, and by the end of the evening, I was feeling good again. Because I recognized what I needed. I needed to feel love. And I am learning in this season of my life to cherish love in all forms, wherever it comes from. Love is love. And I was on my live and I spoke about it. A couple of people ended up coming on my live after I finished showing the jewelry. Then so I got a couple of phone calls, people text, and I just felt the love, and that was just so special to me. And then I gave a shout out to my folks on Facebook and just thank them, and it's just important. Like I tell everybody, I show the jewelry, and it's nice for you to accessorize and all of that, but you got to make sure your insides are good too.
Yes.
And recognizing what I needed in that moment and being able to get it, priceless.
Yeah.
So I just want to tell our listeners and our viewers, don't be afraid to reach out. People that love you, that really, really love you, got your back, and you are important. You are special. You have a purpose. That's it.
All
Aw.
right. Very good. Very good week. Very good words. And Miss Ruth, what is going on with you? What happened with your week last week?
Uh,
Uh,
You had time. I was talking.
yeah, you did, and you know what? It was a normal work week, which means it was work.
Yep.
So I mean, nothing spectacular there. But your story reminded me of a funny, I think it's a funny story. So, and it's about emotions, because I think I've shared that, I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, and um, I've, just in the last few years, I've worked at understanding and trying to overcome this. And I certainly don't respond the way I used to, but while I was in the process,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was learning to identify triggers. I was learning what I needed to do for my emotions.
Right.
And one time, a family member, did something, or I learned something about them, and it was just this cloud came over me, and I was upset, and I didn't know what to do. And then
Yeah.
like training kicked in, and I had this moment where I was like, "Oh wow, I'm depressed." And it literally sounded like that. Like I was happy, but I was like, "No, I'm happy that I figured this
Figured
out."
it out.
You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah, I get
hopefully,
it.
and I know what to do for this. And then I was able to
Right.
call my mentor, and we talked about, we set up a date to talk, and um it was just like a awesome moment because like you said, I think you need to understand where you are, you understand your emotions, and understand what you need in that moment. And when you understand that, even something like, "Oh, I'm depressed," you know what? There's a remedy for that.
Exactly.
One of my
right.
favorite movies is Pixar's Inside Out
Yeah.
because
Uh-huh.
the little sad character, you don't figure out what her purpose is until the end. And it's to pull, to show, and even in sad moments that you can um it draws people to you, or
Yes.
you're drawn to other people, and there's
Yes.
purpose in that. So,
Mhm.
you know, I like to tell people that story because, people, I think they vilify emotions, but
Yeah.
they're there for a reason. So
Yes.
listen to them.
All right. See?
Yeah.
See?
So yeah.
Hey, I like that.
I
I like
do too. We got to be transparent enough to to talk about it, to have the conversations, because unless we talk about it, people wouldn't know,
No,
they won't know.
no, and that's the thing, especially being in certain cultures, whether it's a ethnic culture or a church culture or something like that, there's certain things you don't talk about. So, I'm happy to share this because I
Right.
know that I spent 15 years thinking I was the only one going through this, and
Mhm.
that
And
is
you are not alone.
far
Right.
from the truth. So,
Yes, but it
Alone.
makes you feel like you are.
mhm, mhm,
I haven't had an official diagnosis, but I am on antidepressants,
mhm,
and I do recognize there are times when I'm sad.
yeah,
We're going into the fall season. It is not my best time of year. It's not.
mm-mm,
It's not,
Mhm.
because I know I have seasonal affective disorder, which is called SAD.
right,
Because when you have so many of the dark hours of the day, it just, you know, it's hard. It's hard.
mhm,
So
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
we have to deal with it.
Well,
Mhm. Mhm.
it is possible to deal with it and to
Yes.
live a joyful life. So,
Yep. Yep.
I wasn't trying to do a PSA, but
But hey,
that's where
that's
we
what we're
went.
here for. That's what we're
Yes.
here
Yeah. Yeah.
for.
That's what we need sometimes. That's what
Yeah.
we need.
So how
Yeah.
about you, Andrea? How
Well,
was your
I,
week?
actually, I had a really busy week of doing some things that I needed to do. God was in a writing mode, so we wrote some stuff together. Hallelujah! I'm excited
Amen.
that, and doing some planning for 2023. You
Mm.
were speaking, I was writing it down. I've shared some of it with you guys, and I will share more of it with the listeners as we go forward. Uh, I have a new phone.
Oh, go for it. Now that
No,
was
there's a reason she's
you.
telling us that.
Okay.
Got a new phone,
We
y'all.
may
Got
be
a new
called
phone.
upon for tech help,
I'm glad
which
I
is okay.
know.
You got some
and,
tech bites.
and we have been busy, busy, busy putting the final touches on our intimate afternoon with Authors Up, which is coming up this Saturday. Nakayana said, "You go."
That's it.
Cheering me on, Nakayana. I'm gonna make it, girl. I'm gonna make it. But next Saturday we will be doing our event, and we just have so much, so much, so much that is going to happen that day, and it is going to be a wonderful day, and we'll be able to tell you a little bit about it on the next program that we have, because we will have been coming out of it. But I am excited. I am excited about the things that we're going to share, the surprise that we are going to unveil, and all of the things that are going to happening. Yes, yes, yes. For Authors Up, and with Authors Up, and to the authors on Authors Up, and all that good stuff. So stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned, because I'm telling you, good things are in the works.
Yes,
Are
yes, yes,
in the
yes.
works. But one good thing that we have coming up is our guest for tonight, and Victoria is going to tell you all about
All
her
right. All
and
right.
all about the work that she brings.
All right. Our guest tonight is Zarinah Hameen, and she is an award winning expert in business and community development. She was selected for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women's Initiative in 2020. And in 2019, her company was nominated for a company to watch by Philadelphia Magazine. In 2017, she was named Marketing and Advertising CEO of the Year by CV Magazine, and her company was nominated for a 2017 WeWork Creator Award for Innovation. Her company is Olani, I hope that's the right pronunciation, Media Group LLC, and they were most recently selected as the 2022 Philadelphia Awards in the areas of business and coaching. The group focuses on merging traditional media with modern technology. It's beautiful. Through broadcast, digital, and print media, they minimize the gatekeeper's influence over the voice of the underrepresented and disenfranchised to better strengthen the global community. After our short break, we will hear and be able to talk with our author, Zarinah Hameen.
Welcome.
Hey there. Hey
Hello.
there.
Hi. Let me first say thank you for having me on the show. And I also want to say, listening to the first segment, it's so funny. My best friend and I were just talking about this earlier today about mental health and how it's something that has been so plagued in the Black community and it needs to be addressed. And both her and I both have gotten therapy and we love it. But we talked about the same thing, how we thought that it meant that we were less, because I think as Black women, we tend to think that we have to power through everything. We don't. So I literally just a few hours ago was telling my best friend, with your emotions and your feelings, because I also, I understand anxiety and all of that. I told her, and she loved this, I said, you have to be able to, you can't go over it, you have to go through it.
All right.
And you have to be comfortable. And we have to be comfortable with our emotions enough to go through it. Exactly. So I really loved hearing that. So I just wanted to let you ladies know that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much and welcome.
And Donna has joined us, so we welcome them into the broadcast tonight along with Spain. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for tuning in. And Ruth, I'm going to let you go ahead as you usually do and get started with this journey.
Awesome. Well, Zarinah, thank you for joining us. And I want to say I had to do a double take on your book when we first got the inquiry for it, because you understand what a novel is, you understand what a memoir is, but when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is different. So it's a unique project. I loved it as I was going through it, and then when I realized it's more than one edition, that's even better. So please tell us about about the Malinois Chronicles.
Sure. As you guys said earlier, our focus is to take traditional media and mix it with modern technology. So as a child of the 80s, basically, I remember some of my fondest memories being when people showed up and you could buy Encyclopedia series. Yep. Right? Like that was awesome, because we didn't have social media. We didn't have ebooks. We didn't have any of that stuff.
Great.
So I learned so much. I've always been a bookworm. So I learned so much from, the Encyclopedia series in my house and all of that. So there's several ways that the Melanoid Chronicles came up. It was funny because I actually thought, because I kept seeing all of these people for the first of the African diaspora. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was like, we need to record this. So I have a niece who just turned 16. And I thought about it. I said, okay, there's nothing we can really do about the past, right? We're going to keep finding those quote unquote hidden figures. Like when Hidden came out in 2016, nobody knew who these women were. And Katherine Johnson died in 2020. And if that movie hadn't come out, we wouldn't have known anything about her. And that's kind of a consistent in our culture, where these people who've done groundbreaking things, amazing things, and no one has recorded it, we didn't know about it, etc. So I can't do anything about that, right? But what I realize is that in the new millennium, children who are born from 2000 to 2020, so if you're 22 years old now, you have a documented recording of the people who look like you, who think like you, who have done groundbreaking things. And not only in entertainment and sports like they're taught, but more science and technology, politics. So that's why I actually changed the frame, where, as we all know, old Encyclopedia series, they went by letter. I did it by category for a reason. Because my niece, she loves science. And I have this big book of science that she loves, but none of the people look like her. Right. So I wanted to say, hey, whatever your interest is, if you're into sports and entertainment, that's fine. We have a section for that. If you're into science, if you're into, and I wanted to do, and that's why it's in 4 volumes, because hopefully the next one won't have to be. But we were basically covering 20 years. We're covering 20 years of history. So the encyclopedia series, that's why it's 4 volumes, is it's from 2000 to 2020.
Okay.
And the work was a lot more extensive than I thought it'd be, but we got it done.
Yeah.
And we wanted to hit each generation. So you can get it on hard copy, but you can also get it in ebook, which a lot of kids would like. So they can do book reports with the Malinois Chronicles. They can do whatever they need, and they have that history of people who look like them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that is the thing that struck me about it as I was going through the one that you sent, is because, I'm Latino, so there's nothing like that for my culture. But, it was always, let's do, we didn't have the Hispanic Heritage Month. So, now we had the Black History Month, and it was always, okay, George Washington Carver, MLK, and nothing against those folks, but it's just like,
right. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King.
Anything else? So,
Yeah.
I'm going through the book and I'm going, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't know them. I didn't know them.
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, to me,
You know,
it opened up a
that's
whole
funny.
new world.
I'm a huge history buff, and even when we were creating it, it was several things where I was like, I didn't know these people.
Yep.
Like the Guggenheimer, which is one of the biggest museums in the world, in the country, hired their first Black. I never knew that, and that's exactly what this is for. Because if you think about it, what does that do to your psychology?
Yeah.
Like, what does that do to you mentally if you actually know your history?
Yeah.
Knowing that these are people who, there are people that look like me who are doing groundbreaking things. And that's been lost. I remember when I was in high school, same thing you just said, Ruth. They concentrated on 4 major people. But there was so much history that came before those people. You know what I mean?
After.
So that's that's why it's called, and after. So that's why it's called Black History and New Millennium, because I didn't want to have to tackle all of that. That's a lot.
No.
I wanted to be, so it's like, okay, so in the new millennium from 2000 on, this is the first time ever that, like I said, if you're 22 years old and younger, for the first time, your history is completely documented.
Wow.
So that was it was a very big passion. It took 2 years actually to create it.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your process there, because like you said, it took you 2 years. When I asked you for your bio, you gave me the organization, which I understand, your magazine, or so obviously you weren't the only one working on this, correct? Or
no, not at all.
Help along
I would have never been able to do this by myself. I had 3 researchers who did it. The good news is that anything that I could find personally, I have a Facebook group called The Real Black Wall Street. And so anything that I found, I would post it on there. And I wasn't really posting it for the viewers, I'll be honest. It was just to have it in a streamline. So, because I knew I was going to bring researchers on, and I wanted them to be able to document it. It was so intense that I had one researcher. She emailed me one day and said, I was wondering if I could take a few hours and take a shower and go get food.
Oh.
And I said, I'm not stopping you from getting food. I was like, that's how intense the process. Yeah, like, please eat and shower and sleep. I want you to do those things. So, no, I had a team. Luckily, I had a team of researchers, and we worked around the clock to get. And I'm sure, and the funny part about it is, I'm sure we've still missed some people. That's how intense this was. Where we're talking about 20 years. So that's why I say the next edition I don't think is going to be as extensive, because we decided to now release it every few years.
Right.
Okay.
So it won't. So that's why we say the first one is a collective edition, because it's 20 years. Every other edition of the Melanoid Chronicles won't be 20 years.
Okay.
So yeah, it was. I had a lot of people working on it. Yeah, I had to make sure I got, I had, attorneys and people who could look at, make sure it's trademarked and make sure that we weren't breaking any rules. Because when you are the first to do something, it's a good thing, but for some, especially when you're dealing with the African diaspora and people of the African diaspora, people will attack it. People will do whatever they can do. So I wanted to be very careful. I wanted to make sure we had all of our ducks in a row.
Okay. What has your reception been for the books?
Oh, it's been very good. I'm very fortunate. And I think that we want to power forward. First of all, I want us to be, I would like for the Melanoid Chronicles to be inducted into public school systems.
Yep.
Yeah. So our mission is more about the message and not necessarily the sales, even though the sales have been pretty good. I've been very thankful for that. But, I've been trying to, we're talking to the Department of Education. It's just something that needs to be in schools, especially inner city schools, where it's predominantly people of the African diaspora. Sorry, I'll be honest with you, ladies. I don't like the term people of color. I use African diaspora. So, I just think our ancestors want to not be called colored people, and I think calling ourselves people of color is interesting. But so I think that it's it's more inclusive people of the African diaspora. So, so that's something that I want. We have a 5-year strategy plan for the Melanoid Chronicles, and this is just the collector's edition. And then we want this to be something that continues to grow, and because I think it's significant. And I don't think I would have realized that if I didn't have a 16-year-old niece. She needs to know her history. It's everything that we're seeing that plays out that's negative in our cultures is because you have people who don't know that there are other people who are doing great things in their interest. They all a lot of Black kids think that all they can do is play basketball, or be an actress, or be a whatever, and it's so they don't know that there are people that look like them who are in science and technology. They don't know that. It became a very big passion project for me. That's why it was worth staying up all night for 2 years.
Do you happen to have a copy of the book or one of the books near you?
I don't. Oh no,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We do it per order. Yeah, we kind of do it per order. But you can get and again, I understand. That's why I wanted to make it a hard copy and an ebook.
Yeah.
So I understand that the new generation, they like ebooks, but I always tell people, my mother is 69 years old. She's not logged into anything. So I wanted every generation to be able to have it. So that's why we also have the hard copy. Because if I see my mother on link, she'd probably laugh at me. It's kind of a per order thing. So I actually don't have them because we just did a fair a week ago. We actually sold out.
Oh,
sold out.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is
so
awesome.
so yeah. I'm sorry. I can get you one though if you want one.
No, you're good.
I want our viewers, to be able to see what it looked like. We had the graphic, of course, but
Well, it looks exactly. I don't know if you guys have the image. It looks exactly like the image.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I wish I could have.
That's all right. That's all right. No worries at all.
All right, Andrea.
I just you were talking about getting it into the school system, and I think that would be absolutely amazing because there are those opportunities for kids to research and do different things, particularly in the month of February, and it's always a challenge to find more than the 4. We'll put it that way, more than the 4.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I liked about it is the way that you split it up into achievements and firsts and background, and kind of split their lives up in that manner. But I do want to ask you this question. What I have no idea what it takes to get a book into the school system, into even if it's
Right.
no more than having it in copies with the guidance counselor, but something to get that book into the school system and into the hand of educators. Can you share with us a little bit of that strategy? Because there may be something that we can do to help promote it on that end, because I think a lot of us, a lot of our listeners actually are in education in some way, shape, or form. And we know educators and principals and assistant principals and all of that. What can we do, or what can be done, or what is the strategy and plan to move forward to get these books in the school system? I think they are great. I think the resource and reference is wonderful, especially since there's a generation who has no idea what the World Book Encyclopedia is.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm a child of the 80s, but these kids, they don't even know what an encyclopedia is.
That was a big deal. But can you tell us, share just a little bit of that with us?
Yes. I think you actually nailed it. It's not a process that I was familiar with either. So I actually got from one of my mentors, told me to start partnering with people who are in education, but not necessarily, not only people who are in education, but groups of like, they have a lot of groups, like they had it for Black educators, they have all these people, but you nailed it, where it's starting to kind of infiltrate yourself into, educational groups and partnerships, and starting to kind of weed through it that way. Because the reality is, it's, you can send a letter or a press release to the Department of Education, but who knows how many they get a day. So you kind of have to start from the ground floor. Yeah, you kind of have to start from the ground floor and start kind of putting the book in a few people's ears and saying, hey, listen, this is not only something that's good, but it's groundbreaking. I am very aware, no one else has ever done this. So when you start to kind of give that pitch, people start to listen. So I've reached out to several people. I have meetings with several people about, what we can do, because then they can educate me on the process of moving to the Department of Education.
Gotcha.
But that's not my area of expertise. So that's why, and you know what, we have to, for me personally, especially with the Malinois Chronicles, you can't be afraid to start at the ground floor. I think we live in a society of instant gratification.
Right.
And I grew up in a world where it took a lot of hard work, a lot of years to do anything. And it's worth it, because what happens is, think about it this way, when people post TikTok videos and all this stuff, they may be popular for 10 minutes, but there's so much information on there that they die out. But that's so we live where a generation is coming out where they think that they'll have instant success. They'll have instant everything.
Yes.
And that's why I said we have a 5-year strategy that starts at the ground floor. Yes, we're excited about the success that we've had with the Melanoid Chronicles. We're that's why I come on podcasts, and we were featured in the Wall Street Journal. The Melanoid Chronicles was featured in the Wall Street Journal, Long Beach Black News. So we're putting it's always has to be a strategy. You start to kind of plant yourself in little places to get your message out there. You just gotta, it's like, remember Vietnam when the helicopters would drop the box of food? Have a helicopter where we're dropping boxes of food. We're dropping boxes of books. And so I don't mind starting that. Yeah. And that's the cool thing. But that's the cool thing about an encyclopedia series, is that it doesn't have to come out every 6 months and every year.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So we can promote this for several years. We can create partnerships. We can. So that's what we've basically been doing. It's just kind of creating partnerships, having conversations, and getting their knowledge on how we can get the Department of Education's attention.
Awesome. That is awesome. That's awesome. So we will kind of be on the lookout ourselves in terms of speaking to those
Absolutely.
people that we know, because you know that a lot of things come just out of partnership and relationships. To simply be able to say, "Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Are you
Mhm.
aware
Mhm.
that this is out there?" And sometimes when you talk about being afraid to do something, sometimes we're just afraid to be the first.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
admire that you stepped out there, because one of the things when you were talking about not eating and not sleeping and all, one of the questions I was going to ask, which you answered, was in terms of, how did you do this? I mean, how did you even find all of these first? And you said you had the researchers there to help with that. And it really is. The other thing that I really liked was the fact that when you were talking about people that look like me, um, is the age at which a lot of these events, or a lot of the journey of the people that you highlighted, the age, in their 20s, at 15, at 26. And I thought that was so key, because, our fabulous four that we talk about seemed like they were already 100 when we learned about them and what their
Right.
achievements
Yeah.
were. So it's
Yeah.
really, really great to see, gee, this person was the first at this, but look what they did at 15.
Mhm.
Look what they did at
Mhm.
20. So I think you
You
picked
know what?
some.
I'll say this. We've already started preparing for the next edition. I'll let you guys know that.
Right.
You have no idea what's coming.
Yeah,
So it's funny you say that. I mean, we're talking about 14-year-olds. We're talking
yeah,
about 11-year-olds.
Wow.
We're talking
wow.
about 17-year-olds who
Mhm.
are of doing groundbreaking things. So I agree with you.
Yeah,
And but again, that's the beauty of technology. They're becoming knowledgeable faster.
mhm,
And
mm,
I'm not a huge fan of a lot of things, but to people of the African diaspora, I am. Because that's what we need. I want them to be inspired. I want them to be empowered. Like I said, they're getting something that no other generation before them has ever had. And we
right.
had to struggle to get it. I mean, when I learned about real Black history, I was already in college. And if you think about how personal development works, that's too late.
Yeah.
I'm already 18 years old. I'm already
Right.
20. So, that is too late. So that means you go through the first 18, 20 years of your life thinking that you are pretty much nothing.
Mhm.
And I wanted to change that.
Right.
So that really is, it's like that cartoon where the light bulb went off. That's what happened. It was a light
Uh-huh.
bulb that went off. And I was like, you know what? This is going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, but it's so worth it because
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
our focus is at Alani Media Group is I want to change the world, or I'll die. So I think this is a good step in that direction.
One book at a time, one volume at a time, one edition at a time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you can, and you can. Victoria, before you
Yeah,
tell
one edition at a
what
time.
you do every week.
Well, I'm gonna have to say it. Get the books. Get the books. Get the books.
Boy,
F. I don't have any questions per se. I just have my commentary, which is I think it is beautiful. It is a beautiful thing that you have done. It no words. It's no words. People just have to get it and they
Thank
can
you.
read it and
Mhm.
just look at all the people that you have in there. I guess my one question is there one person that stuck out to you that really made impression on you when you found out about him for the first time? That one?
No, the
So
problem is there's
many.
so many.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said earlier, definitely the woman. If you know anything about the Guggenheimer, it's pretty elite, and it's always been. I
It
don't want to say
is.
discriminatory, but that's a big pool.
Yeah.
And then when I read her background of what she's done, that was phenomenal. But also living in Philadelphia, we had two firsts. We had the first sheriff, Rochelle Blau, first
Wow.
sheriff ever of Philadelphia, followed by the first kind of. I'm trying to remember. Because I just saw her video actually because we had a shooting here and she was on it. But two firsts in law enforcement that I didn't even know about because you have our law enforcement is hugely members of the African diaspora. So the mere fact that in 2020 or 2019, 2020, that they were first two, not only people.
Uh-oh. Did we lose her?
Well, I
We
hope not.
a frozen problem here. So
Well, y'all know my next question was going to be, where can we find the books?
Making those ties to my local community
Okay.
was amazing. And then also, there's just so many, but those are the ones that I think of. And people who look like me and who are local.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And then obviously, definitely the lady from the Guggenheimer was pretty cool.
Well, would you tell our listeners and our viewers how they could find the books and if they need to, how can they get in touch with your media group?
Absolutely. So just contact us. Well, first, let me say this. You can go to, it's available on Barnes and Nobles. It's available on Rakuten. It's available. You can actually rent it on Scribd, SCRIBD.
Oh.
Indigo. Apple Books. It's on Apple Books. It's on, several different places. And also, if you want a hard copy, you can order directly at our website. So, it's pretty much everywhere. Unfortunately, it's not on Amazon.
Okay.
But it is on Barnes and Nobles. It is on Apple Books. Again, Rakuten, Indigo, and you can rent it on Scribd.
And I tell
like if you just Google,
yeah,
I was saying just Google the Melanoid Chronicles, everything comes up everywhere it's
Melanoid
located.
Chronicles.
So that's a good.
And I actually work in the school system, and I'm
Oh, really?
to ask the people that I know who are responsible for curriculum. I'm going to ask them how that works and find out. And I'm gonna put this book.
Oh, that's awesome. I would love that.
Yeah. So I can't promise anything, but I'm glad them.
No, of course, no, none of us can promise anything.
It's important. It's very, very important to get this out, and I like that this is the first. I love that. Well done. Well done.
That means a lot to me. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, Zarinah, this has been
you.
very, very informative tonight. And I so appreciate you coming on and sharing not only the end result, but the process that went into putting the Melanoid Chronicles together. And it was so funny because when I was reading it and I looked at it and it said volume 3, I said, where's 1 and 2? I want 1 and 2. And then Ruth shared to me that there were actually so I got really excited.
You know what? We offer it as obviously I would buy it as a collector's edition, but remember when the encyclopedia series guy would show up to your house and you were like, okay, I can only afford C. So at first it was just a full collector's edition, and then I was like, okay, well, we will offer them, and as you can see, it has the years on it. Interested in 2000, 2005. You could just buy that. So yeah, I wanted to do. Like I said, it's really a play off the original concept. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I appreciate you ladies so much for having me on.
thank you.
It means a
Thank
lot
you.
to me. Thank you.
And we are going to look forward to seeing the Melanoid Chronicles in the schools. We're going to believe that that is going to happen, and we are going to do whatever we can do to make that happen. And so thank you again for being with us tonight.
Thank you,
Victoria and Ruth, do you have any closing comments to make?
Oh, I'm stuck. I'm just.
Well, Zarinah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like I said, I really enjoyed the book, the concept of it, and the hard work that you have put into it.
Yes.
I know writing a book, a novel is one thing, but putting 2 years of sweat and equity into research for future generations, that is just like next level.
Legacy. That's legacy.
Yes, absolutely. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. That means so much to me. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ruth.
And
I
thank
appreciate
you so much for being a part of Authors Up. Listeners, I know that you gained something from this evening, but do more than just gain something from it. Do what Victoria tells you every week. Got to get the book, because
this has an S on it though. Book
filled with a lot of that we didn't know anything about. Yes. So that is
that is hopefully we'll change that.
That would be wonderful.
Yes. Well, happy Sunday, ladies.
Yes, happy Sunday to
happy
you,
Sunday.
Zarinah. Thank you again for being with us. And everybody out there who's been listening, who's been watching, look, if you did not have an opportunity to see this episode, we are also on, this will replay again on Saturday at 7 p.m. So if you know any teachers, any educators, any young people, anybody, anywhere that would benefit from or just needs to know that there is something else out there that they can tap into in order to find history and firsts and be inspired. It's a book that inspires and encourages. Then we invite you back to do that. We will be here on next Sunday at 7 p.m. You know, we're your favorite place to be on Sunday evenings at 7 o'clock. So we invite you back, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about what happened on Saturday night. You know, Saturday night, girl. We had Saturday night. But be sure to come back and join us next week at 7 p.m. You never know what's going to happen at Authors Up. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Good night. Night, Brownsville.
Good night.